Okay, welcome everyone. It's really nice to see you all here. So this is actually one of the first welfare events that's being co-hosted by Sikh societies from across the country. So today's talk is actually hosted by the University of Cambridge, LSE, King's, Westminster and Hertfordshire, and it's in collaboration with Taraki and Nishaan. So the next hour and a half or so will be taken on by Bhai Baljit Singh, who's here from Basics of Sikhi, and they're going to be talking about mental health from a Sikhi framework and how to develop coping strategies. But before I pass over to them, I just wanted to go over a couple of things. Throughout the talk, if you have any specific questions, please do put them in the chat. And we have Karen who's going to go through those questions at the end, whereby Baljit Singh will be happy to answer any questions that come up throughout. And there's also a feedback form which I'll link in the chat at the end of the session. So if you could please fill that out, that really helps when we organise events in the future. I think that's everything. So I'll pass on to Bhai Baljit Singh, who's taken on today's session.
So first of all, to everyone, if you'd like to just put your hands together so we can start off with the blessed Fateh, the greeting that Guru Gobind Singh Ji has given us. So if you'd all like to say Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So I'd like to start off with a recitation of the Moon Mantra. And if everyone would like to take part in whichever way, either you can close your eyes and just immerse yourself in the vibration of it, and or you can join in whichever way you are comfortable at in your own spaces. So, why, ek oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirpao Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sapang Gur Sap Ad Sach Jugad Sach है पी सच नानक होसी पी सच वाहेगुरु। Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you everyone for joining. First of all, I'd like to invite those of you that are able to, please do turn on your videos so that we can make it that much more interactive. And I'm someone that not somebody that likes to work off a script, but instead of the energies of my fellow human beings, and so we can connect to each other. So again, if you are able to, it would be nice to see a few more faces, and if you're not able to, that's, I totally understand. Thank you, Benji. Right, great. So please, I'm gonna, so don't be shy to interact. I'm gonna ask questions throughout just to make sure that you are understanding I'm not losing anyone. And what you can do is you can respond within the chat section, or however, you can either just raise your hand and then you can unmute yourself and you can respond to anything that I ask. Any questions that come up that you think, oh my God, what's he on about? Why did he just say that? You know, anything you've got on your mind, you know, please make a note of it, and we'll have questions at the end. And if it's appropriate and you think that I just need to clarify something, as in when I'm going through something, ask the question there and then as well. Okay, so feel free, make this a relaxed environment. You know, some of the sessions that we do, as Sharanjit knows, we're used to having well over 100 people. So it's actually really nice to work with a nice small intimate group, and we can make it more flowy that way. So what I'm going to start off with is a request to ask Sharanjit to start sharing the presentation. And if we can just share, if you start sharing this presentation to start with, and whilst I take a sip of my jar. All right, great. So okay, so if you, those of you that have got your videos up, if you just give me a thumbs up to see if you can see the video, if you can see the presentation. All right, great. You can see the presentation as well as you can see me fine. Yes, and hear me fine? Costa Benji? Yeah, good. All right, great. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, Sharon, I'm going to start with the words of Bhagat Kabirji. And what Kabirji say here is, I'll say out the Gurmukhi and then we'll go through the actual words as well. So try not to focus too much on the English translation that's on the screen, because I'll go through it myself. So Kabirji here is saying, Mama, the Mama here just, it's a Bani, a composition that Kabirji has dedicated to each letter of the alphabet, right? So he's saying, so this is what his reflection is when he's going through the letter Mama. So he's saying, Mama, man syo kaaj hai, man sade siddh hoye. Okay, so sorry, my little son's just walked into the room. I'm just gonna kick him out quickly. Bye. Bye. Right. Sorry about that. So Kabir is saying, Mama man syo kaaj hai, man sade siddh hoye. And what Kabir is saying here is like, so that, think about this now, there's many of things that we come into this world and we make that into our mission in life, and that's what we want to try and achieve in life. And there's many different things that we feel that is important to do and achieve it in this life. Okay, so there's many goals that we all set in our lives, different goals that we all have in life. Okay, so when Kabir is talking about that, Gaj means our occupation or our work or our job. You can look at it in that way. Man Sadeh, and Sadeh translates to having an element of control. Okay, Siddh hoye, and then Siddh can be translated to success. So Kabirji is saying that, you know, that he's talking about success here. And what I'd like to do is open it up to you guys and ask you lovely uni students at your age. I can't actually remember what it feels like to be your age, because it was a long time ago. Can you guys just share a little bit first in the chats, like what kind of age group am I talking to? Are we 19, 20 range? Like, can a few of you just put what age you are in the, okay, 18, 19, 20, yeah, 21, great, okay. Yeah, so actually we're not that far off. I'm like, Sharanjit, I think I'm 24. Does that look about right? All right. Okay, maybe not, right? So in March, I'm going to turn 40. So I can't actually remember being your lot's age. So what I want to ask you is start off with saying, what is success for you? Kabirji is talking about success here. What is it for you? What does success mean for you? And that can, and you know, it's personal. This is, it's not what the world deems success to be. What does success mean to you? What would you say is being successful for yourself? And our hosts can join in as well, Simi and our Karen, and just to get everybody else going. And if we could, you can either unmute yourself. You can actually, it'd be nice to hear somebody's voice, or you can put it in the chat. Like, what does success look like for you? What does it mean for you? When could you say, look, I feel that I'm kind of in like this. If I was to reach this, then I could say I've been successful.
I guess like personally speaking, I would say for me it's making sure like my family's happy, like just because the kind of person I am, I'm very like family focused, like, and just in myself, like knowing that I've done the best I can do pretty much every day. But like I think I speak on behalf of like most students that like right now it's kind of difficult to focus on like anything else other than your studies and like short-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it is quite a difficult question to answer. I think some of the other people, if they put in the chat that, or like even like us to unmute yourself, we can do that so you can share your own.
All right, so Benji, let me ask you a question, like just based off that. So say if your family like wasn't happy or okay, would that affect your state of mind?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so right, so I'm just going to read out what Sharanjit has wrote. At the moment, for me, success is surviving in the short term because everything is so uncertain. Harbani Kaur is saying that being in a place of internal peace, irrespective of the external circumstances. She's been watching a lot of my videos, I think. Right, so yeah, so success is going to mean different things for different people. And just to like kind of over here, what Kabirji is talking about is saying that like, the truth is if we're able to have somewhat, we're able to conquer and have control over our very own mind, that would be true success in this life, that our occupation in this life is actually to work on our mind and for it not to be actually ruling and running us. Okay. I'm going to read out another one. Arjun is saying that success to me is maintaining healthy relationships and feeling content at the end of the day. Great. Thank you for everyone that are sharing these. It's really kind of nice to kind of hear. Ramnik, as you've got your video on, it'd be nice if you would like to share something as well. If you're not too shy, you want to unmute yourself?
Oh, sorry, I'm in a communal space, so I hope you can hear me. But I don't know. I think in terms of academic success, I think I do place too much emphasis on that personally. It just feel a bit superficial. But things Arjun was saying, like, at the end of the day, what have you accomplished? What have you done for other people?
When we're able to do that and go out of a way and help somebody else in our so what I wanted to bring forward is from this is the importance of being aware and knowing what our mind is capable of and what is going on in our mind, where somebody in an enlightened being like Kabir, whose words have been contributed within Guru Granth Sahib Ji, saying that our foremost occupation, no matter where you reach in your life, whether you become the prime minister, it doesn't matter, but our job is to be working on our mind constantly, being conscious of what is going on in our mind, right? So is anybody able to relate to where having, for example, unwanted thoughts or having repetitive thoughts, and you not necessarily wanting those thoughts, but they are continuing to go round and round, and you're wanting them to stop, but they just keep happening and they don't stop, and it feels like you're not in control anymore, so it becomes compulsive. Is anybody kind of heard of that, or does anybody know what the term for that is? what the actual profession, I don't know what the word would be, medical term for it, or anybody heard of that? Sharon, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what that would be called?
Is this like intrusive thoughts?
Yeah, intrusive thoughts. Anybody heard of intrusive thoughts? You can put your hand up if you have. Karen, Simi, Ramneek, Arjun. Anybody heard of intrusive thoughts? Yeah. Okay, so that would be a sign of like what Kabirji's talking about, where we've kind of lost that control and we've not then had success, you know. But this isn't to feel pressure and to think, oh my God, I've kind of failed, and you know, it's just to show that, like, you know, this is that journey, this is what we're on. So sure, you can please go to the next slide. Oh, we've got another face. Is that Dylan? Great. Okay. Just going to move that out of the way so I can see the slide properly. Okay, so I'm going to read this out now. This is by Guru Arjan Dev Ji. No, sorry, Guru Amar Das Ji, the third Guru. Guru Amar Das Ji saying, Man hi nal chagda, man hi nal sakh, man hi manj samay. And what here Guru Amar Das Ji is talking about is like there's times when we actually get into a bit of a chagda. Chagda means like into a bit of a fight with our mind. So what it means to get into a fight with our mind is when it's kind of doing something out of our choice of what we would actually like to be happening, right? I'm sure there's many of times when we are experiencing a certain type of emotion, but we don't necessarily want to be experiencing and having that emotion. And that emotion has come from our thoughts, okay? So before we carry on, just a question is, how do we accumulate thoughts? Where do our thoughts come from? What's the process for us to get to a point of thinking of having a thought? Where have they come from? Where is that thought born from? How has it come about?
So can sometimes it be from the environment you're in? So if you expose yourself to things, like for example, if I'm watching TV, sometimes I'll have like that in my dreams, or I'll be thinking about it afterwards. So is it sometimes like the environment you're exposing yourself to?
Absolutely, Benji. So like it's everything, every thought that we have is only possible because something has gone in to your memory, okay, via your what? And you want to just finish off the sentence, via your what? So you were just talking about watching TV, so it's gone in through your sight, through your five senses. So any thought that we have ever occurs is because of something that has gone in, the information that has gone in through our five senses, and then it's become a part of our memory. Remember, this could be instant, something we're looking at right now, right? It's gone into our memory, and then it could accumulate a thought, or something we've looked at 10 years ago, right? So there's many things that we are constantly watching, listening to, you know, feeling the touch sense, and some things we're doing consciously, and there's many things we're doing unconsciously. Okay, so who uses social media here? Any form of social media? Right, you guys use social media. Okay. All right. Anybody on Instagram? You're not good. You're not on Instagram. Simi, you're not on Instagram. You are. Oh, okay. Put your hand up then. Okay. So all right. So whoever I can see on screen here, and anyone else that like to put it in the chats as well. All right. So a lot of us on Instagram. Okay. And everything that you see and hear on Instagram goes into your memory. Okay. Have you ever experienced where you're maybe scrolling through something, but be it your Insta, be it your Facebook, be it like, I don't really know of many others. So be it whatever is now out there, or be it your WhatsApp or whatever it is, you know, Who's ever come across something where you think, oh my God, I wish I hadn't seen that, or I wish I hadn't really looked at that, but you've seen it now. You can't really turn, like, and anybody kind of relate to that, where you've kind of just scrolled and a bit more than you would have liked to have, and you've seen a bit more than you would have liked to have? So that now has gone and all sat in your memory, right? So sometimes we have certain thoughts and we're really surprised by them, but no thought has been able to be created and come about if you hadn't, allowed something consciously, unconsciously to go in through your senses. So that's basically the process of how our thoughts occur. So then, should we give utmost importance to every thought that we have? It's a question. Do we need to give importance to every thought that we have? Is every thought that we have got a good reason for it to come up? I can see some of you trying to think here. Yeah, Arjun, do you want to just unmute yourself?
Yeah, sure. I was just thinking, like, it's really hard to prioritize, I guess, what's a thought that like you want to internalize, because I feel like even if we don't necessarily consciously choose to engage with it, I feel like we still kind of end up processing it in our subconscious. But then in that, like, it takes a decision to then prioritize kind of what kind of thoughts you want to engage with and what you feel like will I guess affect you in a positive way.
Yeah. So just to say on that note, thank you for that, Arjun. And but us having this conversation now could empower us to know that we've got a choice, and empower us to know that that we might need that thought. It might be something very practical where it's reminding us that we've got a job to do later on in the day, right? So what our memory serves us, it's got a purpose, right? But then we've also got an option as well to sometimes we give it so much importance, and we give it so much reality to say that, oh, it must be a reason why these thoughts come up, I can't believe. And sometimes we start to label ourselves as a bad person. We start to say, oh, I can't believe I'm such a bad person, I had such a dirty thought, I can't believe I was thinking like that was so bad, that is so this. And we start to beat ourselves up. But actually, it's thoughts are just sometimes randomly things come up from our memory, right? And they can come up randomly from different things that have gone in, even like I said, unconsciously, we've not realized it's gone in. We don't need to base what we're about just because we've had a certain thought. So even if you had a really crazy thought, like, oh my God, I'd love to kind of, from my next door neighbor's house to, just fall down, whatever it is, because I can't stand them. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And you can just like take that thought and say, actually, you can separate yourself from it and talk to that thought and say, that's actually not what I am. That's not me. I'm not about that. And you can decide to just leave that and just say that, no, I'm not going to take that on. Right. So this whole life, this journey is about becoming more and more conscious of you are actually something beyond even your memory and thoughts. So a lot of us think we identify with our body and we identify with our mind being our thoughts and memory. But actually, that isn't the complete you. That is just a part of you. At the moment, this body is like a vehicle that we are sat in, and it's helping us to get from place to place and communicate in this physical world, as is our mind. But the Guru tells us that actually you are something beyond that, and you are actually something, stable inside. Okay, so talking about that, something stable inside, and the Guru tells us that Mantu Jyot Sarupa hai apna mool pachan, right? And we all started off with the Mool Mantra in the beginning. And who's quite familiar with the Mool Mantra? Who Who's quite comfortable would say, like, you know, if we could all collectively here give it a good shot in going through some of the meanings of it, because it could be used for us to kind of a means of meditation to connect to a deeper self within ourselves. So who would say they're quite comfortable and quite familiar with what the meanings of the Mool Mantra? Don't be shy. Right, like, and you're not going to be bragging or arrogant if you put your hand up, right? Yes, we can never know to the full extent, yeah, and it's to our own experiences of life. So I'm going to start off with saying I think I've got a vague idea of what some of the Mool Mantra means. So Mool Mantra is what I recited in the beginning. Anybody else? No? I bet you are. You guys are liars. And I can tell from your face, Karen, you're thinking, I do know, but I don't want you to test me on it. Amrit, we've got another video on. Familiar with Mool Mantra, would you say? Yes? No? You can just nod your head. You can do this. You can do that. No? Okay. All right. So what we'll do is we could have what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to that. We can go through that because it can be very powerful for something for us to use. But what I do want to do is I want to answer some of the questions that actually came up when you filled out the form for this session. So shall we go to that screen and then we can answer some questions? Okay. So these are one of the things that were one of the questions that when you signed up wanted answering from myself. So first one is, what does Guru Granth Sahib Ji say about mental health? And I often think about this question, and I think like where the Guru talks about the true essence of our life and what we are, which is our soul, which is a part of the Supreme Soul, which we refer to as God. But other than that, for me, like all of Guru Granth Sahib Ji is talking about, like I would say majority of it is all towards our mental health, is it not? All the tools that the Guru is providing, Guru's constantly talking about the meditation form of Nam Jap, which is like a recitation of a mantra, and focusing on the vibration. That is, again, it's towards our mental well-being. The Guru talks about Kirtan, which is to remain in the praise of God, which is what we could look at that as positivity, and instead of moaning about life and instead of being in that space of non-acceptance, is constantly still being able to see the greatness and glory of the Creator and being able to remain in a state of praise. So that is, again, for our mental well-being. The Guru talks about gratitude. That is all for our mental well-being. So like for me, when I look at Gurbani, it's all about mental health. Like I couldn't say to you, well, here's a little point here. But one thing that I know always intrigues Sharanjeet, and he has asked me to expand on it, on maybe on dedicating a complete workshop to it, is where the Guru makes a link between Nindya, which is slander, chugli, gossip, and anxiety, right? So the Guru makes a connection between these two things. And what's amazing is, like, after Guru saying this, like 500 years on, today in America, there's some form of studies being done where they are trying to understand the connection between anxiety, depression, and slander and gossip, how it is affecting the mind negatively. Have a little think now for yourselves just on that point, because like just thinking about mental health, the Guru talking about, because I often say, imagine you going to the doctors and you talking to your GP, or you talking to your somebody talking to their psychologist or therapist, and some of you may already have been to some form of counselor, therapist, or someone. Has your doctor, has your psychologist, or would you ever even think of them telling you, try and restrain from slandering and gossiping, otherwise it can affect your mental health? How do you think that you would hear that from your doctor? Or you wouldn't, would you? I've actually been through counseling. I've been through, I've had psychiatrists, I've had, psychologists. I've been through the full kind of experience of having therapy in that sense, 3 to 4 years ago. But the Guru tells us this, and today they're trying, and then almost catching up with this. How do you think there could be a link? How do you think slandering and gossiping could cause anxiety? Have a little think about it. Have a think about when you're chilling with your mates, with your friends, and you're basically, right, hopefully you're all comfortable with, talking about a street lingo, you're chatting some shit about someone, and then how can that cause you anxiety? Think about it practically. Has anybody experienced that, where they've actually felt quite anxious afterwards? Go on, Sharon.
I used to be I used to love gossip. I straight up used to love.
I could just tell from your face. Sure.
Love gossip and love drama. Like, two huge things I love. So I guess like reflecting on that, one of the things is like if you're gossiping about someone, you might be talking about, like, say, things that they've done in a bad way, or things that they've done that don't sit right with you. It means that when you do anything, you've kind of got that in your head as well, that people, if I do this, people might talk about it. If I do this, people might talk about me in another way, because you're someone who talks about people who do those things. So it's like a cycle.
Yeah. So thanks, Sharon, for sharing that. You know what? It'd be actually nice if you just kept yourself unmuted. I might just bounce off you in it. So if you just look at this, we're talking about mental health, and let's not just take this lightly. So a lot of people are talking about, why am I feeling like this? Is it because I'm overwhelmed? Is it because of social media? And believe it or not, a big part of it is the type of things we talk about with each other, right? And when we're sitting there and we're rinsing somebody else, and it might not be the exact truth, and it's not coming from a place of compassion, and it's actually bringing somebody down. Believe it or not, what that's doing is there's a few things going on. In the back of your mind, there's that element of fear as well, of safe that person finds out, safe it kind of all comes out. And the moment you're kind of speaking out of arrogance, looking down at someone, that is already you going against your working towards a healthy well-being for your mind. And then the other thing is, so even like quantum physics is telling us now that everything is energy, right? And all it is, it's vibrating at different frequencies, making up different forms of matter, right? So in essence, in truth, everything is then one, right? So the space between us might be hundreds of miles away on a physical plane, but actually in other realms, we're not actually that far from each other. So we can tap into each other's energies. So what we're doing is, when we actually speak about somebody negatively, what we're doing is tapping into that negative energy of theirs. And we're then, as we're talking about it, we're going to start to carry it. So we take that burden on of what we refer to as karma. Somebody else's negative experiences, we're taking it onto our own head. And that's why the Guru Nanak says, Asankh Nindak Sir Karha Par, that there's countless of people that are slandering and gossiping. And what we're actually doing is, we're taking sir on our head, but we're taking on this abundance of weight. Sometimes when you at that time, you get sucked in, and it feels very pleasurable in that moment. But now think about this, afterwards, it doesn't feel so great, because without you knowing, you've taken on their energy that you didn't need, because you've got your own karma to deal with, your own things that you're going on in your life, and now you've just taken on another abundance that you don't need. So for me, if somebody was to ask me, what is Guru Granth Sahib Ji's Bani? The Guru's Bani means words, by the way. The Guru's word is revealing to us the way this entire creation actually works. So I'll say that once more. So the Guru is revealing to us how this game of life, this creation actually works. And one of the things is how the effects. So if you look at cause and effect, so then the effect that Nindya brings is actually anxiety, right? So that's something, so that's a precaution. That's a tool that you could all take away. So if anybody wants to make any notes, if there's anything you want to take away, number one would be the Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, if you want to work towards your mental well-being, the first step you would take is start becoming more conscious about how you are speaking of other people. Prathame chod, parai ninda, uttar gai sab, manki chinda. The Guru says, first step to take is stop chatting shit about people, basically, right? He doesn't use the word shit, no, right? And he said, then uttar gai sab, manki chinda. Then your anxieties will start leaving you, right? I'm not saying this is their cause. I'm saying it's a contributor, right? And I can tell you from experience, the lower you are feeling, the more you will end up talking negative about somebody else, because you are trying to fulfill yourself via putting somebody else down. Okay, you're looking then to find faults in others instead. I'm just going to read out what Arjan has wrote, and then I'm going to carry on. I think when we gossip, we project our insecurities and expectations onto other people, rather than taking the time to process them ourselves. That's amazing, Arjan. It's so true. It takes us away from self-reflection. Okay. And sometimes when it comes to talking about well-being and mental health, I just find it overwhelming. Like, where do I start? What do I even share with you guys? There's just so much. And that's why we've taken the initiative to start our monthly programs called Conquering the Mind. And so what we do is we focus on very specific topics like guilt, like forgiveness. Our next one, so please do join me, just plug that quickly as I'm remembering it. Our next one's going to be on Valentine's Day, right? So if you want a date for Valentine's, come to our session, right? It's on 14th of February, which is a Sunday, 2:30 p.m. And it's going to be about true love. So what is true love? Okay. I'm sure you would all like to know. Sharon?
Well, just a really quick point around, like, I think when it comes to the slandering and the gossip stuff.
Yes.
When one thing that people can do is, in their mind, when you're chatting with your friends or even when you're chatting with your family, just take a note of how many of the conversations involve like chatting shit. You realize that it's so many with certain people. Like, you realize that your kind of relationship with certain people is literally just chatting rubbish about other people. And you realize how much we do it. You realize how much you do it and how much we don't think about it. And like, that's not me saying stop it completely, because it'll take a while for that to happen. But just realize how much it happens, because it's a lot more than you think it is.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vijay, for that. And it's contributing, towards us same journey as all of you. I'm not a saint. Yesterday, a beautiful Gursikh came to see me, and we sat together and we was talking for hours last night. And there was just one mention of when we nearly went down that path, out of this beautiful conversation, mentioned one person's name, and was about to go down that road. And he was like, he was kind of like became conscious of what was happening. I looked at him and I said, I really can't take this weight on. And I've got plenty else to deal with and that I would like to be working on. So in that moment, we kind of just nipped it in the bud. And I can tell you what, because of the pleasure of it, in that moment, I was thinking, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit of that. And then I just thought, no, you idiot, and I just said, no, we're going to stop here right now. And we did with Guru's grace. All right, so I'm going to continue answering some questions, which for me, I think is very important because they've actually come from yourselves. So we've got, can Sikhs seek professional help? What do you think? What, you lot tell me. What do you think? Do you think Sikhs can seek professional help? Arjun, yes.
Yeah, I think that's a massive misconception in our community where like we're kind of discouraged from seeking like professional help. I think it's something we should do. Like I also think it comes from like the way we view mental health. Like one of the best ways, like my dad puts it, is like he views it as just stinking thinking that you can just kind of get out of by sheer force of will, even though and oftentimes it isn't. And like that kind of changing the shift to like viewing mental health as something to do with your health, like the way you'd see a doctor if you like had a cough or whatever is the same way you'd probably see a a counselor if you were having sort of issues. And I think that's kind of like it's about kind of reframing things as a community to like actually viewing that Sikh can of course go see professional help. Bani is fantastic and it's beautiful to have the sangat, and that's always a fantastic kind of remedy. But oftentimes there sometimes does need to be a time where you kind of do seek help from people who have like experience in the mental health side of things as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arjun, for that. If there's anybody else that would like to say anything about that, otherwise, then I'll jump in. Anybody else like to share their thoughts about that in regards to that? No? Okay. So what I'm going to say to you about professional help is, look, a lot of old school thinking will say, but just keep reading Gurbani, you'll be fine. The way I view Gurbani personally is, yes, it holds vibration, and yes, it will be cleansing us in some form of way, even subconsciously, that we might not be aware of. But the truth is, the Guru says himself that Gurbani is to be acted upon. And the truth is, a lot of us don't understand Gurbani. And the more we read Gurbani consciously and we start to understand it, yes, then it will start to help bound our mind and it can become our counseling. But first thing is, like the first session of our Conquering the Mind workshop was to be real, is to be authentic with yourself. The Guru never says bullshit yourself and lie about where you are within your own self. Okay, so a lot of like nowadays you go on Instagram and you follow a lot of these pages and it'll all be about positive thinking, be positive. And sometimes I think within this, sometimes you can end up with this false pretense of positivity where you're not actually feeling that, you're not actually in that state of mind, but then you're having to pretend everything's okay, and then others tell you everything's okay too when it's actually not. So the first step is always is putting your hands up and say, actually, I am feeling this. I am going, yes, I do read Gurbani, but I'm still feeling quite low. I feel like I haven't got any motivation. Be real and don't be afraid of being real. Okay. So be fearless of being real. Okay. And then the second step is then you can seek any form of help. Be professional. Be then from Sangat, from Gurbani, from Kirtan, from whatever that might be. Is it wrong to go to professional help? No. What I will say is it's very important to find someone that you can click with. I've had counselors where I'll share one of my experience, like I've had really great experiences, and I'm going to be naughty and start off with a negative one. So I went to one and it was through the NHS, and I walked into the office, and Pichali just like, this about 3-4 years ago, and she just looked like a kamli, like all the baal kindre sige, and her like hair was all over the shop, and her eyes were like shot red. And I just sat down, looked at her and thought, oh my God, it's a Pichali, it's like tea, both needy lagdi hai. She doesn't look very well. So and she sat and I was like, you're right. I'm asking the counsellor in it. And I go, you're right. And she was like, yeah, I've not had much sleep for the last few days. I'm like, do you want to talk? So it's like, you can find the right counsellor in it. And don't be afraid if you have been to one and you think, oh my God, like other bachari, like, Guachi Sigi, and he or she was like kind of lost themselves. But don't let you put you off and think, oh my God, Manny, wapas jana, I'm not going to go again, right? Okay, that was whatever that experience was. Remember, even though these are professionals, they're not enlightened beings. they're human beings like everyone else, but with certain element of knowledge of the mind, right? So don't let one or two experiences put you off. Continue to seek for somebody that you click with, something that you need and understands your very specific needs of your mental health that you are experiencing, right? Be a form of OCD, be a form of whether it's generalized anxiety, or a lot of people, something that my experience is very specific was health anxiety, which is a very debilitating form of anxiety, which you are convinced that you've got some form of illness or some form of disease, and no matter how much you are told or you get tested for, you are not convinced with the results, and you keep thinking they missed something. So it can actually, like, completely debilitate your life. And so be something like that. It's finding someone that is a professional within that area, okay? And I would say don't shy away from seeking professional help, being where if it's private and having to pay for it. And some people, yes, money can be an issue and finances can be an issue at times, but sometimes when we do the maths and we work out how much we spend on gand, on just rubbish, right? And it look at it as an investment towards your life, okay? Next question, let's have a look at. So how to deal, I forgot the word, how to deal with exam stress and failure. Sharon, do you want to say anything about this? Would you like to say anything about this? Because I'm sure you've done way more exams than me. I just about turned up to literally a few GCSE exams in my day. I've just been very blessed to become a speaker on a world level without any form of formal education. But I can still answer the question, but it'd be nice to get your perspective, maybe, because being somebody that's actively in, education.
So I guess for me, there is the fact that, as exams approach, there can be a sense of being overwhelmed by, all of the content, all of the revision that needs to be done, and you almost get into a space where you see how much needs to be done, you don't know where to start with that, and then also that can stop you from actually doing revision, and so it kind of feeds itself. It becomes a bit of a vicious cycle where you've got so much to do, you don't know where to start, so you don't really start properly, but you still have so much to do, which can get really, really overwhelming. And then also with that, you've got the fear of if you're not doing this, then you're gonna you risk failing. You risk not matching what your expectations are, not matching what your family's expectations are, what expecting of yourself. So then I think they're the two main things that come to my mind. But if anyone else thinks anything else specifically with exam stress and failure, pop it in the chat, or you can put your hand up as well.
Anybody who'd like to contribute to that before I take over as usual?
I think I have
a have a shot at it.
So, wait, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, breaking things down into not focusing on the exam itself, but just trying to get through every day at once. So making a to-do list of this is what I'm doing today, and just focusing on that. And I also found that structuring your day, making sure you wake up at certain times, you'll find that some people are very, really productive in the mornings, whereas other people aren't. I always I never when mom used to say, oh, Simi, wake up at 6 a.m, I'd be like, that's not happening. but since I've been at uni and with being at home and everything, waking up early and just forcing yourself to get out of bed and starting what you need to start, it motivates you to get through the rest of the day. And also knowing when to actually take a break and being I've done what I could, but now I'm too tired. I'm just, yeah, knowing when to stop and basically have a day off and rest.
Thank you, Benji. What I want to ask you lot is, do you kind of, what's your knowledge and current understanding of when we hear the word stress? What is stress and what is happening to you when you go into stress mode? Do you know what's happening to you scientifically? Do you understand what stress even means? Do you know what's happening to you internally? Any idea? Amrit, want to say anything? Hear your voice?
I don't know, stress is something I deal with a lot, and I feel, but I don't actually know what actually happens. I know that when I'm stressed, it's like really debilitating, I think. It's something that I've always struggled with for a long time, but I don't actually know.
How would you describe stress? Like, you don't have to answer this question, by the way, but like, if you're comfortable, then great. How would you describe, what does stress look like for you?
What does it look like? I think it's just like associated with like worrying.
Personally, as in like with you, what are you experiencing when you're going through stress?
I think it's just like worrying. For example, if I'm like stressed about uni work, like it stops me from doing other things or relaxing, or kind of doing other activities, and just like worried about focus on one thing too much, probably. So it kind of stops me from being balanced.
And then do you ever experience where you find that you don't really do much at all? Yeah,
so yeah, sometimes if you're so stressed, you can't even do the task that you're stressed about. So
absolutely.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through with you what's actually happening to you during stress. So before I read out any of the comments, I'm going to just explain the science behind it, okay? So what's happening is when you are stressed, so you go into fight or flight mode without you even knowing. And if you just raise your hands, who's familiar with the fight or flight mode? Who's heard about that? Fight or flight mode? Yes, familiar with it? All right. So what's happening is like, fight or flight mode would be, it's built into our system. I'm sorry, I've just messed up my view. I'm just going to change that back. Sorry, don't know what I've done here. Sorry, give me a second, everyone. I'm just done something to my view. I'm viewing the screen. Okay, that's better. Okay. So it's what's happening is you seem to receive this like as if you're in danger, and it's normally built into us, as in like when we had external danger to kind of help us to survive. So our body goes into survival mode, and then what happens is you're releasing adrenaline and cortisol. So your body's going into this survival mode, and you've got a lot more. So your immune system's being suppressed. You've got more kind of blood flowing through your muscles, and you're getting ready to kind of fight or flight. Which in that mode, that mode is only made for you to literally run or fight. It's not there to do your uni work with, right? So first of all, a few things is that you can do to help to get out of that space and clear your head to be more productive are certain very simple breath meditations that you can all take part in, that can really kind of help you all. And so what I'll do is, so we could even have a little break from talking. Would you like to kind of go through a quick guided meditation? Yes, which can help you all to kind of to release and to kind of create that space from going into that survival and stress mode, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through it first, and then I'm going to guide you through it for you to actually just try it now, and then you can build it into your lives. Okay, so first of all, and I've just told Sharon that I've just shot a video with this guided meditation literally before our session, but it still needs editing, and hopefully we'll have it out soon, and then we'll have it shared with yourselves. So it's on a channel called Journey of Compassion. And so what you want to do is, you want to, when you practice it, before it becomes effortless, you have to practice it. And the recommendations I'm going to give to you to practice it is first early in the mornings, and before you go to bed, right? These are recommendations. If you can't do it during these periods, and that's fine. Sharon, also you can bring up those slides actually with the guided meditations. Oh, brilliant. Carry on the next one. Okay, so here's the recommendations. Early in the morning and before going to bed, try and have at least 1 hour gap from eating. Try and choose the same spot about the same time every day, and then try and practice cleanliness, meaning try and have a bath or a shower, or even just freshen up before. And if you have, then even I would recommend to use like a jot, so like an oil ghee kind of lamp. You could even use like olive oil, anything. Make sure it's organic and it's pure. And an incense stick, again, make sure it's not got any like chemicals and rubbish in there. Make sure it's pure. Like try and use I personally use sandalwood. It is quite difficult to get hold of, and it's pure sandalwood what I use. So these are recommendations, and practice for at least 5 minutes in the beginning, or you can count the amount of times you take the breath and start off with at least 21. So if you can't create these ideal situations, it doesn't mean you don't then do them. Then you just you can still do them anyway. Vijay, next slide. Right, so you want to be sat comfortably on a chair or on the floor. If sat on a chair, then please sit with feet flat on the floor. And then, so I actually like do it now, right, as well. And then, so your feet are flat on the floor. And then, so don't do anything right now. Just let me go through it first. Sit with your spine straight, with shoulders relaxed. So what you do is you straighten your spine and you jiggle it around a bit at the bottom just to get it relaxed and make sure you can straighten it. And then just drop your shoulders, right? So just drop them. So you naturally your back straightens, okay? So you shouldn't don't lean on a rest unless you, for any medical reasons, you need to, right? And then what we do is we do a preparation breath. And the preparation breath is to release any tension or stress within your muscles. And a lot of people get tension in their neck or their head or in different parts of their body. Or it could be resistance within your own mind. It could be anything. I'm going to just show you one first, an example, then I'll talk you through it, and then I'll guide you through it. So this is the preparation breath. I'm using my hands. So what I've done there is I've taken a deep breath in, but I'm using my hands to guide my breath and energy whilst expanding my stomach and expanding that air into my lungs and chest, right? And that's how to take proper breath, by the way, where it comes from your core, okay? And whilst you fill your body with oxygen, what I did then was I held for about 4 seconds. When you hold for that 4 seconds and you've got your breath in, you visualize within yourself where you've got tension in your neck, in your head, or any resistance in your mind, stress, and then you breathe that out with your hands. But that you do as if you're blowing a candle. So you keep your lips closed, but you breathe out quite, with a lot of stress. So it's like, right? I'm going to show you once more, and then I'll guide you through that. And you're going to do 3 of those. So just. So your turn, guys, right? So if you just sit relaxed, your eyes closed, look straight ahead, and you're going to use your hands to guide the breath in. So when I say, so you take a deep breath in. Whilst you take that deep breath in, you expand your stomach and allow that breath into your chest. Hold. Think about the tension, stress, and then release, blow out through your mouth. Okay. So you can start off with that. You can do that 3 times. Okay. Next slide. Yes, all right. So then for the actual practice itself, what you would do is you're gonna have your eyes closed throughout the practice. Keep head straight, looking forward, become aware of your heartbeat slowing down. Place one hand over your belly button. So the inside of your hand, place over your belly button. Okay. And to ensure breath is deep. Once mastered, no need to place hand on belly. Once, keep your focus on breath. Follow the motion of the breath. Breathe in very gently through your nose at your own pace. I'll guide you, whilst expanding your stomach out. And then continue to fill your chest with the same breath. When finished taking in full breath, pause for a couple of seconds, breathe out again through the nose gently with full control. Okay, and your stomach goes back in. Okay, so I'll just kind of show you what's happening, right? But stand up, you can still see me. Right, so when I take a breath in, stomach expands out, and then I breathe in, and the stomach goes back in. Okay, so very gently. And these things have been proven, by the way. It's not anything weird or wacky, right? These things are proven to work. Like, it changes things in your brain. You actually create more gray matter within your brain, and it shows that you're able to be more focused in your education, in your whatever you need to do, whatever task you've got in life. Okay, so you're going to close your eyes, look straight ahead, one hand over your belly button, the other hand on your other knee facing down. So now take a deep breath in gently through your nose and expand your stomach out as you're breathing in. Just keep following your breath and hold for a few seconds. And now release that breath through your nose. Continue to keep your attention on your breath. And then breathe in again. Stomach's expanding out, you're following your breath. Hold for a few seconds. And then breathe out. All through your nose, keeping your attention on the breath. Continue to do that at your own pace for a few minutes. Those of you that were taking part and have got your eyes closed, and just slowly open your eyes. You can rub your hands whilst you're doing that. So this is very simple but very effective it gives you that space from all your crazy thoughts and stress. The more you practice this, the more it will become effortless to do it throughout the day. And it will help so much through all your whatever tasks you're doing in life. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read out a few things that were said, and I'm going to stop there. So I made it quite free flowy, and I'm going to give you all an opportunity to ask me questions. And so you can stop sharing, Sharon. And then I can see everyone's faces. Cool. That's better. Okay, great. Okay, so Arjun, I'm just going to read out something he put in the chats before. Say that stress, personally for me, the fear of being stressed and burnt out is more frustrating than the process of doing the work itself. Often things feel daunting because it's in the future, the uncertainty creeps in. I agree with Simi, motivating yourself with one or two small things gives you the energy to tackle the big ones. But of course, it's vital to know your limits and take time and space out as well. Quoting, this is from Harbani God, quoting our psychology class here, anything that disturbs your level of equilibrium and affects your functionality is stress. Okay, so there is one important question I do want to answer, is about the medication. Is it okay? So you don't need the slide. I've got the question here. Thank you, Riji. So are Sikhs what's the take on Sikhs taking medication? Medication, from what I will say, kind of personally, is sometimes medication can be prescribed quite, I think sometimes I feel it can be overprescribed, and sometimes early as well. So what I would say is like, for me, it's kind of a last resort, and it's not that there's not any situation where you would never go to it. There are certain situations, yes, that medication can definitely aid for us to get to a place of becoming more receptive. And obviously, depending on what type of mental health condition you are experiencing yourself. For me, I've actually had medication in the past where it was for 3 months, and I had a lot of withdrawals, had to come off it in the past. And then, but it gave me enough boost to be able to become receptive, to start then receiving and reading and doing meditations. Because some people reach a space where they become unfunctional and they're not able to even listen to a talk like this. They might not even be able to come to something like this. So in those circumstances, medication can be of some help. Yes, definitely. So we really should never write it off completely. But again, I would always say, like, if there are other means that you could embrace in your life first, like simple steps like going for walks in nature, be more conscious of your diet and what you are eating, finding someone that you can communicate with, and where some sort of therapy, sangat, kirtan, meditation, right? If you're not able to do these things because, like I said, it's reached that point where you're struggling to even get out of bed and you can't even bear to listen to anything, then it might be an option at that time. Unable to get out of bed due to anxiety is one I feel is important to cover as well. Again, I would say, medication might be something that you might have to discuss with a professional if it's at that point. But what I will say is, believe it or not, this meditation is so powerful that I just shared with you all. It's not, like I said, something just wacky, it's been done for thousands of years. So this can be done in bed. It's something that helped me to actually come off medication, and it's something that helped me towards my recovery, and to be sat here with Sangat, you know, and to be able to now being on this side of being able to, you know, share and deliver. So it's something you can do lying down as well. So even if you're in bed and you're struggling to get out of bed, you can do the same practice meditation whilst you're in bed, and it actually works really well whilst you're lying down. So again, do the same process, just put your hand on your stomach and just keep focused on your breath and start doing the breath work. As thoughts start to come, talk to the thoughts. You're a higher consciousness beyond even thoughts. You can say to your thoughts, I don't need you at the moment, right? I will give you a chance if you needed, but not now. I need to do my breath work at the moment, okay? If you are feeling anxious or stressed, your breath will be shallow. You'll be breathing from your chest up, okay? Which will then can cause physical bodily anxiety symptoms, where you might start to become pacey, you might start to become irritated. The moment you take your breath deep, because your breath is what holds together your body and your mental mind, your memory. Once your breath goes deep, your thoughts cannot be out of control, okay? And you cannot be in stress mode. It will start to then, it will start to calm down. So you can do that same practice whilst you're in bed. All right, some other questions from our sign-up form. Just before we go there, is there anybody that wants to ask something here and right now? Like to even unmute themselves and ask something before we do go to what Sharanjit has brought up? No. Okay, so I'm just going to work through them and then we can call it a day. All right, so what should a student do who has no friends in his life with whom he can hang out, so he is forced to stay in his room and use his phone all day long because if he goes out, he feels so ashamed and rejected when he sees that everyone else is enjoying with their friends, and how Gurbani can help in this matter, and what Guruji suggests to us. You know, the truth of the matter is, like, you know, Guruji hits us with some real life, some serious realities. You know, and sometimes people will say, oh, there's no compassion in kind of sharing the realities, but I think it's filled with compassion. The Guru says, like, really, the truth is that, you know, if we look at it in that sense, we are alone anyway. That I've experienced episodes in my life where I've experienced so much anxiety that even though I've had people surrounding me, I've still felt alone, and that, you know, nobody's there. So the truth is that light of God is inside of us, and we're never alone. And the Guru says, "Man, Harji tera naal hai." Says that Harji, our Creator, is constantly with us. You know, that one, that Sajanada, Mera Sajanada, that true companion and friend who has actually made us, is close to hand. All we need to do is find ways and means of making that connection. That doesn't mean that you don't need any friends. I'm not saying that, but like, I'm just saying, like, we forget that our Creator is so close to hand, that Sajanara, our true companion that can be with us at all times. Not even our partner can't be there, whether it be, sorry, I know you guys, none of you are probably married, and then, but parents, siblings, friends, Sajanara, Mera Sajanara, Nikita Kaloida, Mera Sajanara, right? That close is standing by me is my true companion, that Waheguru, that God that has created us, you know. And to make that inner connection, right? You're so fortunate to have, you know, the internet today. Listen to the talks of those people that truly connect you to the one, right? And I would say be conscious and be careful who you listen to at the same time. And, you know, I can get Sharanjit to send out some links of recommendations, people I recommend to listen to who are safe, that will help you to connect to your inner self. Okay, so again, start that breath work. Within that breath work, add in the Guru Mantra, if this is specifically for this person. As you breathe in, say Vahe. When you say Vahe, actually feel in every part of your body that you're saying wow to that one that is within you. Where you're saying, so when as you're breathing in, you're actually saying in your breath, and then right, and take that Gurmantra deep inside of you and remind you that the one that has made you is with you, right? And when you start to become more content from within yourself, right, and you start to radiate that love of God within yourself, you'll struggle to, get people away from you, because it's just a natural phenomenon where people then will be, just will be there, right? And like I'm saying this with utmost compassion, right? When you go, this is such a beautiful opportunity for you to start that internal journey, right? Because I tell you what, these people that look happy and are with so-called friends, right, aren't maybe as happy as they look, right? You start that internal journey and do ardas and put that plea forward to Waheguru, to God, and say, God, send me those people into my life that help me to connect to my truth and to that divine, that the Guru says, Mere har pritam ki koi baat sunave, so pai, so mera veer. The Guru says that anybody that will connect me with that, my beloved that is inside of me, they say that is my true brother and that is my true friend. So do ardas to Guru. I want to be around those people that help me to connect to that true love that is inside of me. Okay. And ardas is very powerful, very powerful. How do we navigate dukh and sukh, knowing that they are intertwined? So the dukh and sukh that the Guru talk about being intertwined is the sukh, not referring to eternal happiness, but is referring to the sukh of pleasures that we experience from the material world, from external sources. Okay, so often when we are attached and we are only in a heightened state of mind due to being stimulated from something outside, be that like our phone or social media, a like that we got on social media, that is an external sense of pleasure that we are receiving. When we become attached to that, then in the absence of that is when we then experience dukh, then we experience suffering, right, pain. So that's, in that way they are intertwined. The only way to go beyond those is to seek and yearn for that, to know your true self, is to wanting to get to the form of bliss, which is your true self, which is your soul, right? And some of these things may seem deep to people, but when you ask a question like that, the truth is only your soul is the form of bliss, right? When you yearn to know your own very existence is the only thing that can take you beyond the surface of pleasure and pain. Like if somebody wants to know about these in more detail, like I would say look up my playlist on Basics of Sikhi channel of Salok Mahalla Noma. I've done the katha on it, and I've probably spent an hour explaining what sukh and dukh is, but that's a short answer for you. How do you maintain Sikhi? How to maintain Sikhi in an environment where Sikhi is not so upheld, like how to be a lotus in the dirty water. So first of all is to have a strong early morning practice before you get on with your day. Then it doesn't matter what you're surrounded with. When you've had a strong start, dedicate at least half an hour to 45 minutes if you haven't got any form of good company, or I don't want to call anyone bad, but company that doesn't help you to unite you with the truth. right, with the one inside of you, then I would highly recommend to have a very strong practice in the early hours of the morning, and then continuously, you know, try and do as much Mool Mantra as you can, which is what we started off with, Ek Onkar Satnam Karta Purkh Aptu Nanak Hosi Pi Sach, and keep conscious of what the Guru is saying to you inside. The more you're connected to a mantra internally throughout the day as well, reminding yourself of the nature of God, of being nirvair, of being beyond enmity, of being nirbo, of being fearless, and that will keep that where you've got the balance of your inner connection and then the outer world. The Guru's mantra will help you to keep connected inside. And that's in very short. You know. Are we done, Sharon?
I think unless anyone else has any further questions.
No, yeah, I think so. I think we've done a good hour and a half nearly anyway.
Okay, and we'll hand it back to Samina to take us through to the end.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank Bhai Baljit Singh ji, obviously, for having, you know, organising this talk with us and speaking about this. I think it's really important, especially with the virus going on and everything and how everyone's at home. So I hope like everyone found something useful to take away from that session. And I also want to thank Sharanjeet and Karen for helping us put this all together. I think, like I said, it was really important. I've put the feedback form in the chat, but you should be able to find that on our social media, like event description. Like it should be in that. If you can't find it, just message one of the universities that organise this and we can send that to you. And I have recorded the session and that will be available. Like I'll discuss with the societies and we'll see how we can release that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me as well.
All right then, guys, thank you for attending and listening. So from myself, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.